Guys, listen to this. President-elect Trump said that he plans to permanently eliminate daylight savings time. Yep, people are divided. Republicans don't want to go back an hour, while Democrats want to go back 4 years.
Oh, a little laughter. They want to go back 4 years so they can start over again with the Biden-Harris administration. Maybe try to get it right the next time. I don't think that's in the cards. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Well, good Tuesday to you and welcome. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. And there are drones everywhere. Where are the drones? Everybody's texting about it. There are drone stories everywhere. And President Trump talked about them a little bit yesterday. I want to share a story with you because a smart friend of mine sent me a story this morning that I had not seen before. And I think it's kind of interesting. I do, and it might even explain a thing or two. But I must say that if this is the explanation, then the government really ought to be telling us about it, because they might have an explanation, but they don't tell us stuff because they're not truth-telling people. But we know about the drones and all this stuff. Let's go to, you have that Adam Kinzinger. We've been playing sound bites on it. We played sound bites yesterday. We played sound bites on Friday. You know, the drone story, the era of the drone in the United States of America. And people sounding the alarm all over the place, right? But the news media and the Democrat Party in the government, but I repeat myself, they come out and they tell us all kinds of bourgeois, a lot of bourgeois. Let's go to the former Republican, now sweetheart of the left-wing media, Adam Kinzinger, who told us this.
What I'm hearing from Homeland and what I'm hearing from FBI is we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter, on the internet, are all airplanes. They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet, and I can see the lighting on it.
Literally all airplanes. He can see the lighting, and the giggling fake news reporter there, he. There's nothing there. Isn't that amazing? And then we had Alejandro Mayorkas. Now, he's a clown, of course, but Kinzinger, and, well, so is Mayorkas for that matter. But Alejandro Mayorkas, he came out and he told us, well, you know, no one should be surprised because last year the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, they changed everything. And on the East Coast, guess what they're doing?
In September of 2023, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, changed the rules so that drones could fly at night. And that may be one of the reasons why now people are seeing more drones than they did before, especially from dawn to dusk.
Yeah, especially,
and so that is the reality.
That is the reality. Now my friend Danny sent me an article that I had not found on my own from flyingmagazine.com. I'm not a subscriber to Flying Magazine, but I'm sure it's an excellent magazine. I do like flying in anything. And the headline, now this story from June 2nd of 2023, and the headline in Flying Magazine, DOD officials approve East Coast UAS and AAM test corridor. Now, I know what you're saying. What the hell is UAS and AAM? Well, if you're a subscriber to Flying Magazine, maybe you already know that. The subheadline, government agencies are developing a prototype testing and evaluation corridor for unmanned aerial systems, UAS, unmanned aerial systems. And so they call them UAS, not unmanned aerial vehicles, which would be UAVs, but unmanned aerial systems, UAS, and advanced air mobility, AAM, technologies. And Jack Dalio at Flying Magazine has the story, and it appears to be an intelligent take on what was happening last year, 2023, in June. Since the completion of the Northeast Unmanned Aerial Systems Airspace Integration Research Alliance, which they naturally call the NUAIR, and doubtless pronounced New Air, because, when you're having conversations, got the New Air. A 50-mile drone testing corridor. See, since the completion of the 50-mile drone testing corridor in 2019, the state of New York, hey, what a coincidence, conducted drone integration evaluation for the FAA, flown routine beyond visual line of sight, and that they got an abbreviation for that, the BVLOS tests. You got to look out for the BVLOS tests in the NUAIR for the UAS and and all the other, because the government loves abbreviating everything, so nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. And even experimented with 5G technology. Well, my cell phone is experimenting with 5G technology, too. That's your fifth-generation technology. New York's drone corridor has been a major boon for the state's wider aviation industry and the development of unmanned aerial systems, UASs again in parentheses, and advanced air mobility, AAM technologies, so much so that its tri-state area neighbor is planning to build its own. What's this now? On Thursday, again, this is last year, on Thursday, the National Aerospace Research Technology Park, naturally the NARTP, a collection of research and development facilities located just outside Atlantic City, New Jersey. Hey, wait a minute. Announced an agreement to develop UAS and AAM testing corridor backed by two Department of Defense entities. Once complete, the corridor could foster emerging aviation technologies such as drone and air taxis. See, the air taxis, like the Jetsons, because the air taxi will come get you. It's a drone. It'll take you to where you're going. It may crash into other drones for a few years, but don't worry about that. The project is being supported by the U.S. Transportation Command, a unit of the DoD that provides the agency with air, land, and sea transportation, and the Air Mobility Command, AMC, the air component of U.S. Transcom, which is not a transgender thing, as it turns out, and a major command for the U.S. Air Force. The Atlantic County Economic Alliance, the ACEA, we really have to stop this abbreviating everything in parentheses, will provide a portion of the corridor's funding through a U.S. Economic Development Administration grant. Sure. The Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, CRADA, between NARTAP, U.S. Transcom, and AMC calls for the entities to build a prototype UAS and AAM corridor connecting New Jersey's Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, JBMDL, to Delaware's Dover Air Force Base, a distance of about 78 miles. Now, this is all very interesting, and I thank Danny for this story because it is interesting and doubtless appropriate to bring into the discussion. But then I've got to ask, I won't curse, why the heck is our government not talking about what they're doing in the Defense Department? And they got Transcom. Is that where Pete Buttigieg's boss is? Because I kid, I know. It's not the Department of Transportation. It's the U.S. Transportation Command. So I worked in the Pentagon for 10 years. I know my Transcom and my various other comms, but never mind all that. So this story from a year ago lays out that the military and the federal government involved in a Northeast New York, New Jersey, Delaware corridor for drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, and unmanned aerial systems, and all this good stuff. And some of that might help to explain what people are seeing, but we have a government that doesn't do a good job of telling the truth. Wah, wah, wah. Yes, sir. Just crazy. Yep. Yeah, what was it? I'm sorry, Jerry called in, talking about the British band in California and the gun and America's the greatest country, but you need to get it straight. And Jerry called in to say the British still don't understand that you shoot back, making fun of the British. Really a better French joke, but we'll take it for the British too, because why not? Isn't that great? Okay, now, with that said, President Trump held and so that doesn't really unravel or answer the drone question in the Northeast, but it might, and we're obviously all on our own when it comes to sorting all of this out, since our federal government and our military, part of the federal government, are not being helpful at all when it comes to all of this stuff, I've got to say. Now, I want to get to President Trump, and I want to get President Trump going through a whole lot of stuff, But before I do that, I want to get to another story, because all too often I come in, I take on the big stories, and I don't get to all the little stories I want to get to. And there's kind of a funny one that broke yesterday. I made mention of it on the air, but only after we were off the air yesterday, off the radio, did I discover that there was videotape of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson performing on Broadway over the weekend in New York, where they put on plays. Hey, let's put on a show. And the headline from the New York Post, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson debuts in queer Broadway musical knockoff of Romeo and Juliet, because we really need more queer knockoffs of Shakespeare plays, and the Democrats know that. And in New York, what are you going to do? Nobody can come up with anything original, anything thoughtful. So they call it ampersand Juliet. Ampersand Juliet. You can say and Juliet, right? And Juliet, if you'd like. But that's the name of the play. And for some reason, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson appeared in the play over the weekend as one of the performers. And it's kind of weird, since it's and Juliet, which is the woman in Romeo and Juliet, and Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't know what a woman is. Maybe someone else has told her. Maybe Clarence Thomas pulled her aside, or Chief Justice John Roberts pulled her aside and explained what a woman is. Hey, if you're going to be a justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, you're going to need to know a few things. And one is there are two genders, a male and female, men and women. Boys grow up to be men, girls grow up to be women. I'd sit her down and explain it. Maybe bring an Etch-a-Sketch or something so I can help her. But listen to this. The Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson debuts in queer Broadway musical knockoff of, quote, Romeo and Juliet, end quote. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson briefly ditched the black robes and drama of the Supreme Court and made history with her Saturday night debut on Broadway in the musical Ampersand Juliet, a queer reimagining of William Shakespeare's classic Romeo and Juliet. I don't really think it needed reimagining, but a bit of video emerged yesterday afternoon, and some of it sounded like this.
Welcome to the first day of rehearsal.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This has been a dream of mine.
It's been a dream of hers to which part? The finding out what Juliet is?
Tonight, we have a very special guest, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson!
Yeah, it's a big play, and the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't know what a woman is.
Female empowerment.
Maybe she knows what a female is, but not a woman.
Sick. I like it too. I think what I like about it is that I am having a very strongly negative reaction to it. Like I hate it. Which makes me think it must be brilliant.
I got it. The Democrat Party.
I did it. I made it to Broadway.
I did it. I made it to Broadway. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court. The Democrats don't pick they're not sending their best. They're just really to the Senate, to the Supreme Court, to the White House, to the Vice President's residence, like illegal alien gang members who may be more productive in many respects in the United States. The Democrats just aren't sending us their best. That's a fact. You know, this holiday season, if long days on your feet are wearing you down, Remember, hardworking Americans deserve better than pain in your feet and your legs, slowing you down all day, all week. For those who keep this country moving forward, G-Defy shoes deliver on comfort and support. With patented VersaShock technology, G-Defy helps to absorb impact, helps support your posture, stand up straighter, feel better, and gives energy back with every step. My best girl and I, we've got our G-Defy shoes. We hike around the city. And I've told you before, first time we got them, went out for a hike around. It's like, man, my feet feel better after a hike than they felt before the hike. My arches, kind of amazing. All you have to do is visit gdefy.com and use the code CHRIS, C-H-R-I-S, for 50% off your orders of $100 or more. That's the code CHRIS, C-H-R-I-S, for 50% off your order of $100 at gdefy.com. Stand strong and step comfortably, step lively this holiday season. That's gdefy.com. Yes, sir. Yeah, she's on Broadway. It's all theater. It's all, I always say it's all a terrible cable television show. Now they're turning it into a terrible Broadway play. And she still, I guess, maybe now she doesn't know what men are. They never asked that, did they?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. By the way, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was in New York last week getting ready for her debut on Broadway, and she did not show up for Supreme Court business. There was plenty of Supreme Court business that she should have been there to attend, court conference, and other Supreme Court business that she just blew off. She just kind of blew it off. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. She did phone in a little bit, but that's it. You know, doesn't take a lot of time. You just phone it in. Hey, I'm in New York. I don't even, you know, what am I? Me worry? Well, I wouldn't worry. Wouldn't worry about that. Listen, there is more coming up on the drones and the bourgeois information that we're getting from our own government. And then I've got President Trump for you, because President Trump held about an hour-long press conference at Mar-a-Lago yesterday, and he covered the waterfront. He covered everything, and then he started taking questions. And the questions are, smart questions like, are you going to bomb the heck out of Iran as soon as you get in without any provocation and start World War III? Because I didn't vote for you, and I wouldn't approve of that. I'm embellishing only slightly on the reporter's question. That's coming up, too. Hey, we're back. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to talking about drones. And it got President Trump, his press conference yesterday covering the waterfront coming up as well. Right now, let's go to Jim, calling from Southwest Missouri. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Yes, sir. I love your show. And as usual, you're right over the target with this drone theory. I had a number of theories of what could be going on with the recent flurry of drone sightings, and at the top of the list was a coordinated program, quasi-military, commercial aviation and defense, to test and refine the integration of multiple systems in a populated area with other flights around, both military and commercial. And the idea of a test corridor on the East Coast checks all the boxes.
And you have a background in
military, defense, and commercial aviation as a quality analyst coordinating between the FAA and the DOD for about 30 years.
Well, all right. And you have a voice like Pavarotti, too, which is nice when you call into a radio show. So you saw this, and I was just talking about this story out of a magazine that nobody reads, right? But Flying Magazine, and I saw it, and I've got to say, it rang true, right? And when you heard it, you said, and were you already up to speed on this before I read from this article?
Yes, yes. Well, it was the top of my list of a short list of theories, and most of which were implausible because of the various circumstances. And at the top of my list was just such a scenario, a coordinated campaign, covert, and at least initially. And I'm sorry to say, what the scary part is probably out of necessity. A program like this is unavoidable with the emerging technologies. Can anybody say Skynet? And here it is. It checks all the boxes. That test corridor, coordinating with commercial aviation, law enforcement, local law enforcement, and the military in developing and integrating these technologies so they don't bump into each other, and they take out the bad guys and not the good guys.
And the question that naturally emerges from that is, why would the Democrat governor of New Jersey or the mayors not just say, well, it's all part of a federal program we're working on, and it's a corridor we've carved out, and we're doing some testing phase stuff, some initial testing phase, and they could point you to this article that I cited earlier, and they could demystify the whole thing. Why are they not just being upfront and demystifying?
Because deception is what they do, and it is their first recourse when in doubt, if there is doubt.
That was my conclusion too. It's the nature of the beast. When you're the intelligence and military community, when they're working on a program, it's the nature of the institution to just keep it in your back pocket and not say anything about it. But at the White House level, they should remove their heads from their dark and remote locations and demystify the whole thing. That's just me. I'm an openness guy.
That's very hopeful, but they are going
to lie,
deny, blame, shame, project, deflect, cheat, steal, line their pockets, and those are their cronies, kill the witnesses, and do it again. That's what the Marxists do. That's what the Comarxiocrats do.
That is great. The commercial Marxist-crats, the bureaucrats.
Yes, sir.
Or the commie. Oh, I'm sorry, the commie Marxists. I'm sorry. Now I got you. So, Jim, 30 years in the business and in aerospace, defense, and in commercial aviation, and you've been watching this closely because this is not something that happens all the time.
No, it's obviously a new development.
Yeah.
And yes, drones have been emerging, and yes, there have been people out to see them, but suddenly there's a frenzy of sightings, and I assumed there was something going on,
right?
And that this scenario checks all the boxes.
Yeah, it does. Listen. I just sent out this Flying Magazine article from June 2nd of 2023, and we will post that on our social media. Now, again, it's more than a year old. It's about a year and a half old, the article, but it may go a long way to explaining this whole mystery, and it really shouldn't be a mystery, should it, Jim?
No, not at all. For public safety, there would be one good reason not to be keep it covert. I mean, it's inevitable that it has to be developed, or there are going to be undesirable results.
Yeah, that's right. Great stuff, Jimmy. Thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate your calling in, and
well, yes, sir.
Lending some credibility to this Flying Magazine article. It does seem to dovetail nicely with what we're witnessing.
Yes,
that is great. Jim, saluting you, my friend. Thank you very much, and amazing voice. What's with that voice? I thought, is that really his voice when he started talking? Yeah, that's really his voice. That's great. That's great stuff. Now, with that said, and Jim, I want to let you listen to, or ask you to hang on and listen to a couple of things, because And actually, if you're still there, Jim, oh, he just hung up. No, that's fine too. But let me go to Gordon Chang, who I admire very much. Gordon Chang is a smart man and a scholar and author, and he studies all of this stuff and Asia expert, China expert, all kinds of areas of expertise. Gordon Chang was on Newsmax last night on my television network, Newsmax TV. Last night he was on with Rob Schmidt, a wonderful guy, Rob Schmidt, at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And Gordon Chang was asked to try to explain these drones and why. And this may still work, Jim, with what we're talking about, because it would be very covert if, and Gordon Chang isn't saying this is absolutely what's happening, but this is one possibility, that the military is running a covert, a secret operation, because they are tracking or tracing nuclear materials and possibly even a nuclear weapon in the greater New York City metropolitan area.
There's possibility that someone has taken apart a nuke, smuggled it into the United States, and has reassembled it. And that Department of Homeland Security is now trying to scour every place. And the point is the commander-in-chief needs to address the American people and say what he knows and what he doesn't know. We're adults. We can handle the truth.
We're adults. We can handle the truth. I'm with Gordon Chang, I've got to say. And that is correct. You should treat the American people as though we are adults. And I think we will deal with whatever it is, and particularly if it is, as Jim and I were just discussing, and as this article that I will ask, a little busy now, but have it posted on social media, on Twitter and Facebook and the various other Chris Plant social media. So you can see this article from last year, because I do think it's a piece of the puzzle for sure. And if that program was ongoing, however secretive it may be, there may still be another dimension to it that Gordon Chang is talking about. And I don't want to spread, fear of nuclear anything, but the reality is, and again, I spent 10 years at the Pentagon as a news guy covering the U.S. military and the intelligence community. It's where I went to work every day for a decade. 2E772, excellent office. That's the room number in the Pentagon that I was in for 10 years. And great stuff. And Gordon Chang raises a very important and relevant question, talking to Rob Schmidt on Newsmax last night. And you still have to tuck that away, too, because you never know what we're going to learn next, given that the government doesn't share and doesn't tell the truth when they do share. Let's go back to soundbite number 12, right? Number 12. Because President Trump yesterday, his press conference at Mar-a-Lago, his exhausted press conference, he wore down the press again. And there was a moment there where they're all cackling at him and screaming at him, which we haven't heard in 4 years. And they're all shouting at once and screaming at once. And we haven't heard that in 4 years. But now Trump is coming back, so the press is starting to scream and shout over one another again, because their behavior will change completely with President Trump at the helm. And again, articles today saying Trump is already acting like he's president. And of course, that's because someone has to. Now, let's go to soundbite number 12. President Trump yesterday on the matter of drones.
The government knows what is happening. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense.
For some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. President Trump is right now. Why would they want to do that? Because, and look, Jim is absolutely right. And it's kind of funny because I was having a conversation over the weekend on this topic, more or less. It is the nature of institutions like the CIA just to keep something secret, even when it doesn't have to become secret or be kept secret. And it's true of other agencies and institutions and departments in Washington, D.C., and of individuals by extension who become, and I get this, I really do understand this, I've known a lot of people who are in and out of various things, and it is just the nature of the beast to not tell you what it is, even when it would be fine to tell you what it is. Well, it's not my lane. A lot of guys will say, a lot of women will say, not my lane. It's not up to me to say this out loud in public. It's up to somebody else. So it just gets tucked away. Now, the ridiculous CNN embarrassment that it is, Dana Bash, whose ex-husband, Jeremy Bash, who's one of the signatories to the Felonious 51 letter, and President Trump should sue all of them, too, for tampering in the election. He really should. And the news media is already going, oh, Trump's revenge has begun, because he's suing corrupt news media, right? ABC News and the Des Moines Register. Oh, his revenge tour has begun. Now, he's trying to tell the truth, and the news media attacks him, trying to make sure that you guys tell the truth, but you're going to fight him at every turn. So Dana Bash on television, and she's acting like she's gotten a hold of all kinds of secret information from a secret source. Could be her ex-husband texting her while she's on the air, because President Trump was holding his live press conference yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, and Dana Bash, they weren't really carrying it from wall to wall. So he came back and said, well, Trump is talking about drones, but I'm getting all kinds of secret information from secret sources.
While the president-elect was speaking and saying what you just played, alleging that the government knows, suggesting that there is something nefarious going on and that he knows that, I was texting with a senior administration official who said that they did an interagency briefing on this yesterday, and they were told that it is a mix of fixed-wing aircraft with pilots, commercial drones, law enforcement replacing old police choppers, and recreational. Nothing anomalous found.
Nothing anomalous, nothing nefarious. And he didn't say there was anything nefarious, so you just misrepresented what he said. You should be sued now, like ABC News and George Stephanopoulos, another $15 million for the Trump library and another $1 million for Trump's lawyers. I think that would be excellent, because he didn't say there was anything nefarious. He said that the government knows where they're coming from with all our satellites and all of our surveillance capabilities. And he didn't, honestly. By the way, your big secret, and Dana Bash getting her secret scoop from her secret sources.
So that is what the administration is saying on the drones. There's so much more to talk about, but because he weighed in and leaned into and explicitly said that President Biden knows what's going on here, it's important to say what the current administration, who has the active people looking at this, are saying.
Well, isn't the Biden administration the current administration? I'm a little confused, Anna. Can you back that up a little bit? And the reports today are that members of Congress were given a secret classified briefing yesterday. And the headline is, House receives classified briefing about mysterious drones. And why would it be a secret classified briefing to Congress if all of this is just out here for all of us to see? And by the way, a statement came out yesterday, not that Dana Bash is getting a lot of secret information from her secret inside sources, because Kabul Kirby was on the Fox News channel last night, and Kabul Kirby said on camera, on TV, for the whole world to see what Dana Bash is pretending she got from a secret source.
Our assessment is that this is lawful, legal, commercial, hobbyist, and even law enforcement aircraft activity. Some of it's manned, some of it's unmanned. We absolutely acknowledge that a lot of these are probably drones, but they're flying legally.
But they're flying legally. And then a statement by DHS, FBI, FAA, DOD, a joint statement says, we assess that the sightings to date include a combination of lawful commercial drones, hobbyist drones, law enforcement drones, as well as manned fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, and stars, mistakenly reported as drones. So Dana Bash could have listened to my radio show or watched Fox News and gotten the same scoop, but she's looking at her phone, these secret texts from sources, because my ex-husband was chief of staff at the CIA, which is not an intelligence job, it's a political job. because her husband worked for the Obama campaign, because it's all a Democrat circle fest in a hot tub. Honestly. Womp, womp, womp. More President Trump coming up. This Christmas, as we celebrate the gift of life, a very important life, you have an opportunity, we all have an opportunity to share that same gift of life with a mother and her little baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, feeling alone, unsure of what to do. She's searching for hope, for direction, for choice. And that's where Preborn Ministries come in. Deanna had already had 8 children of her own, and the thought of another child was more than she could bear. She tried to order the abortion pill through her doctor, and then by God's design, it never came in the mail, her abortion pill that she sent away for. At 18 weeks along, Deanna visited a Preborn Network clinic. While getting her sonogram, which is what they give you there, one of the things at Preborn, her unborn baby waved at her. Then she remembered that this was the baby that she had asked God for. God saved her baby that day and also saved her. This Christmas, for just $28 American dollars, you can help save an innocent life. And thanks to a special matching grant right now, your gift will be doubled by the good people at Preborn. To donate, $28 for one. All you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby when prompted. That's pound 250 and the keyword is baby. Or you can go on Al Gore's amazing internet to preborn.com/plant, Plante. That's preborn.com/plant. Yes, sir. Yeah, our news media. Boy, wonder what they'd do if they were journalists. They don't even follow the news. As I'm fond of saying, because it's true. Much more President Trump coming up.
President Biden knows what's going on here.
Obviously, that's not true.
We've got President Trump, again, had a press conference yesterday. How many minutes was it, Michael? It was about an hour, and he took all the questions there were to ask. The media yelled and cackled and all that stuff, and President Trump answered everything, and he spoke, and he covered the waterfront, covered a whole range of subjects, and I've got a whole bunch of it for you coming up, because it was great, and he did more minutes talking to the press yesterday than Joe Biden has in the last 4 years. And forget about Kamala Harris. She hasn't taken this many questions in her career.